It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I'm really quite excited to get into today's beer because, well, it's from Badger Brewery, but they seem to have kind of farmed off their beers in one direction, their traditional beers in one direction, and then farmed off their craft beers into another direction. And they farmed off their craft beers into a company, or a brand even, called Outlaw. This is their ginger pale ale, described as hazy, spicy and sweet. It's 5% ABV. Some of you might remember the first ever beer that I reviewed on YouTube. 9,400 beer reviews ago was in fact a Badger beer. The first ever beer on the channel was from Badger. That was a very traditional British bitter. This, now I've always loved ginger in beer, always loved ginger. I produced a ginger porter with a company called Shepherd Neame. That was very good. That's on YouTube if you wanna see it. But ginger in a beer, the spiciness of the ginger and the flavour of the ginger in a beer, this should be really good. This should be really good. I picked it up in Sainsbury's. It was £3 for the can. And their slogan is, "We're badgers, not sheep." I quite like that. If you're in the south of the UK and you have the opportunity to pop into a Badger pub, please do so. Because they got this kind of nailed down fantastically well. Their pubs, in that they buy old pubs with wooden beams, you know, the black wooden beams, Georgian pubs, maybe even older medieval pubs, and they'll do them up. They'll spend some money on them, do them up. But of course, when you go to a place, let's say for argument's sake, Salisbury, and you visit Salisbury, you have a look at the cathedral. Around the corner from the cathedral, which attracts millions of people every year, is a pub called the New Inn. And that, all the front's leaning out, it's all kind of leaning and bending. It looks like a place, a movie set from Harry Potter. You know, Diagon Alley type place. But you go in that pub and it's always busy, it's always full. And that's because people want to see it. People want to see the pub. So Badger are onto something really quite special, I think, with the way they're kind of building their pub business. It's all centered around old worldy style pubs. 2-finger white head on this one. It's got nice carbonation rolling up the glass. It's nice and hazy. It's unfiltered. It's an unfiltered pale ale with ginger. I'm quite impressed with that. Quite impressed with that. In fact, if you wanted to have a look at the first ever video on the channel, it's called Badger England's Own. Have a look at that beer from a bottle compared to this beer today, 13 years later. And you'll see the difference. You'll see the transformation Badger have gone through. Quite wonderful, actually. Aroma. Oh, the ginger. The ginger's coming through here fantastically well. And I think it's clever brewing. I think Badger have used all of their experience here to produce this beer. In 2023, hops are still very expensive. They're still very expensive. Some brewers are going down the line to put in ice cream concentrate in their beer. They're making rhubarb and custard beers, custard pale ales, and quite frankly, they're disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. They're kind of like mango concentrates and ice cream concentrates and all these it just boils down to inexperience. Inexperience from the likes of Northern Monk, and inexperience from the likes of Tiny Rebel, and inexperience from the likes of Brewdog. because Badger have been around a long time, they know that people don't want ice cream concentrate, so some people don't want their beer to taste like a mango solero from the freezer aisle of an ice cream shop, do they? They want their beer to taste a little bit more traditional. So instead of using ice cream concentrate, quite cleverly, Badger have used something a little bit more traditional, and that's ginger. Ginger is wonderful at flavouring beer. Let's get in. It smells fantastic. Cheers. Oh. It's quite sweet. It's quite sweet. Actually, it's a little bit over sweet. A little bit more sweet for my liking, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But that's just me being honest. There's pointless me lying about it. But the ginger counteracts. That sweetness. It almost kind of, they've almost leveled the sweetness to balance out that kind of spicy ginger. Some people might call it harshness, but I like it. I would prefer it if this beer was brewed with just some general kind of malts, just some light malts, and then you had a big smack of ginger on the back end. That would be kind of, you know, and you're picking up a little bit of a spicy ginger burn on the back of the throat, and lots of flavour of ginger, lots of spiciness for the ginger. But I think they've missed an opportunity here, Badger. They've missed an opportunity by counteracting all of that lovely, spicy, burning ginger flavour. They've made it too sweet. And they've done that to counteract that spiciness, that burn from the ginger. And I think that's a crying shame. Because I'm pretty sure there's lots of people out there that would have preferred to have had something more of a traditional ale, but with a big spicy ginger kick on the back end. Bit of a shame if I'm perfectly honest. It was all going so well, the aroma, the look, the feel, the fact that it had ginger in it. You could smell the ginger. But far too sweet. Far too sweet. I'm not sure if they've used any kind of like sweeteners or saccharins in the beer to make it sweet. It's almost kind of cloyingly sweet. It's almost like, I tell you what it kind of tastes like. It almost tastes a little bit like Krabbies. Remember Krabbies back in the day? That's what it tastes like. That's what they've gone for here. They've gone for, even though, I don't know, is Krabbies even a thing? They've gone for the Krabbies market here, and I think you've got to like really sweet stuff to enjoy a Krabbies ginger beer. I don't even think you see Krabbies very much anymore. I think, personally, I'm disappointed because there was an opportunity here. There was an opportunity to show the whippersnapper breweries, the up-and-coming kind of Northern Monks and Tiny Rebels and Brewdogs, show them how to produce something that's not rhubarby and custard-like and Pineapple Express-like, and do things properly. And it's almost as if they've just gone like, oh, everyone's producing sweet beer at the moment, like alco poppy type beer, let's jump on it. And I just feel like that's a real shame, because if this was dry, if this was more biscuity and malty with a big ginger bitter kick, I think it'd be a much better beer. Oh, that's a shame. I'm only giving you how I would produce the beer. Bold and waving, a real one of a kind, just like Dorset's Old Harry Rocks. Spicy ginger takes centre stage in this hazy pale ale. Brewed with WGV and Golding hops, expect refreshing, balanced yet punchy flavours. They've balanced it with a lot of sweetness. They've balanced it with an awful lot of sweetness. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this. It wasn't worth my £3 personally for the can from Sainsbury's. It was one of the beers I put in my trolley that I was truly excited about in this particular beer haul from Sainsbury's, but actually it's turned out to be one of the worst, and that's a crying shame. Way too sweet for me personally. If you love sweet things, you will love this beer, but for me, it's almost undrinkable. It's a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!